uh, how to say it, are great, but at the same
Tiring?
time, it's so tiring. Yeah. And you, teacher?
You get tired. And yeah, fine too. Thank you very much. Did you come back late last night?
Uh, well, not too late. The bus departed from Irapuato at 5:20, and we arrived to San Miguel because obviously he passed through, I think, Salamanca, Celaya, and in those cities, the bus did different stops. So
Yes.
probably were like 3 hours of driving. Of driving, sorry, it was not too much, but we arrived here in Irapuato again at 11:30, more or less.
Wow. Well, so you should have gone to bed like at 12, I imagine, 12,
Yeah,
12:30.
more or less. And I woke up at 6:30. I don't know why.
Oh, really? Automatically? Probably your
Yeah.
biological clock.
Yeah, I think so. And you, teacher?
Yeah, well, I'm fine. Thank you very much. I got my window broken last, what, Friday or Thursday? Or Wednesday. Oh, I don't remember. When was that? I think was, when was that? I think Wednesday or Thursday night.
Hmm.
I went to visit a friend who lives in a nice colony. It's not that the colony is poor or has a lot of vandals. Well, it does have vandals, but I didn't know. I didn't expect that. And they broke the window. They opened the trunk of the car and took the computer and the portfolios with important documents that I had, legal documents. So, I was so annoyed. The computer was in really bad condition. It was very old, and I wanted to replace it. I already had in mind to buy a new computer.
Hmm.
That's what I already had in mind. But the portfolios with the documents, oh man, that hurt me because they don't help these guys at all. They are
Yeah, of
useless for
course.
them, for the tips. But for me, they're very important. And so I need to replace them. They're going to be costly and it's going to take time. I need some of them are legal documents from circuit tribunal in Guanajuato. So I need to go all the way to Guanajuato, make copies, spend maybe half a day there because the copies are slow.
Hmm.
So that's what upsets me a lot. The time that I need to be spending recovering the documents.
Yeah, I imagine. She is. Yeah, unfortunately, now in until in the best colonies or the best streets, that type of situation happens. I don't know if you have seen videos that near from Plaza Cibeles and Villas here in Irapuato is the same. They are
Oh, really?
assaulting people, or they are the same broken windows to rob different things. Yeah, for example, in what's the name of this store, La Toron in Villas.
Oh, yeah, I know the place. I used to go to this store quite often.
Yeah, in that store, I have seen so many videos of people who. I think that obviously they follow them until that place. They know that probably has something important there, and just they just broke the window. So yeah,
Jeez,
it's horrible.
that's horrible. Yeah, well, that's really awful, awful, awful. There are rules and punishments for different crimes, but these are crimes in the U.S. I don't know if the crimes and punishments will be the same in Mexico. Let me make a little table of these
Mm-hmm.
different crimes, and we discuss them for a moment, and
Yeah.
then let me share this with you, Mickey. What is the paint? You know what? The paint is a system. Is a I need to be able to open paint. Paint application. Here it is.
And what laptop did you purchase, teacher?
I purchased a laptop which is HP laptop and it has a Core Intel Core microprocessor. I purchased it in Liverpool. It had a
Great.
20% off.
Hmm?
Plus, with the card, I had an extra discount. So I'm pretty happy about the purchase because it was truly, truly good price. I
That's
think
right.
it's a good computer. I bought it for less than what's 8 or 7 thousand, and then in monthly payments. So I have like like 10 months to pay it on credit, but it's credit of the store, not
Mhm.
not my own credit, but the credit of the store. So
That's
I think
great.
that's a good purchase. Yeah, I don't know if it's a good price or not, but I was also looking at the computers as you suggested
Uh huh.
in Mercado Libre, Amazon, and they have good prices too. The thing is that they need to deliver them by freight, and this freight, I don't know if they are reliable or not, if they're going to hit the equipment or not. I don't know how careful they are. That's the only issue. But the prices
Yeah.
were good.
Yeah. Well, I remember the first time that I purchased a laptop there. It was in Mercado Libre. Two times actually. The delivery company, I think that that time were FedEx. One they stole the computer, and in the other one, I received it damaged. But well, the good part is that you have the warranty that if you don't receive the product or if the product is damaged, well, you receive your money instantly, and yeah, it's the advantage. But if you can see it in person, always is better. And apart
Yeah,
because the price was good.
right. Exactly. Well, that's interesting. And I thank you very much for giving me the suggestion. If I didn't need it so dramatically soon, I would have probably purchased it through Mercado Libre or through Amazon. But I needed
Yeah.
it the next day, the same day actually.
Hmm?
So I needed to purchase a computer right away. So I couldn't wait. But thank you, Mickey, for the suggestion.
Yeah, it's no problem.
There is a list here for different crimes of the punishment. Let's see what you think of them. Let's
Hmm.
begin with the first one. Can you read the first one, Mickey, please?
Yeah. Crime, punishment, murder, imprisonment, life imprisonment, capital punishment, death penalty.
Right. So, what do you think about murder and the different penalties they have?
Well, yeah, of course. I don't consider that murder. It's a crime that probably could be forgiven so easily. So I would say that at least imprisonment is like the correct is the correct punishment, and I would say that it must be a good amount of years. Obviously, I know that in a murder, probably there are different factors that we need to analyze because I don't know if this person probably was like how do you say like threatened to do it or something like that. So I think that there are different aspects to analyze, but at least imprisonment, I think that it's an accurate punishment. I think so.
Yeah, there are many grades, as you say. Uh, if you are self defending yourself from an attack in the street or you're fighting for your life,
Mm-hmm.
I think you're not even imprisoned or imprisoned while there is a short process. But if you are defending yourself from an attack from burglars or
Mm-hmm.
murderers or in a extreme situation and you're
Mm-hmm.
defending your life, I think you have no penalty in that case, I think.
In Mexico or in United States?
Eh, I think in most countries, if you are defending yourself against an attack in the street or a guy who is broken into your house and you defend yourself, I think you are innocent because you are defending
Mm,
your life. And I
yeah.
think it's in most countries, in Mexico, the U.S. for sure. But it's not the same as if you're planning to murder or planning to murder a guy with advantage in advance with a planning that is first degree murder and that is very often penalized with a capital penalty in many places. The US is one of them.
United States. Yeah.
It's horrible, but well, that's unfortunately not very uncommon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's do the second one, please. The second line, Mickey.
Yeah. Assault, fines, probation, community service, and imprisonment.
Yeah, what do you think of this assault? Somebody in the street. normally implies violence.
Yeah. Uh, well, I don't know. Probably, probably I'm extreme in this case, but I think that well, I have seen cases, for example, here in Mexico, where a person is assaulting obviously other person, and they murder that person just because mm, probably they didn't solve the situation as they wanted. So I think that, for example, community service and those punishment are light in comparison. In some occasions, I think so. But it's the same. I think that depending of the context, depending of how it was the assault. But yeah, I would say that imprisonment, and probably I would change community service.
You would change community service for something more extreme or more demanding, right?
Yeah.
Right, a good spanking with some sticks.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, these crimes are horrible. Actually, it's not my favorite topic to talk about crimes. Unfortunately, they exist. It's more talking about the law and the law enforcement and application. For example, rape. Imagine rape is considered to have violent intercourse with a person who is underage, less than 18, can be 17 years old, can be 16, and much less. Imprisonment and sometimes life imprisonment. What do you think?
uh, well, it is. Mm, I don't know. I know that here in Mexico that penalty uh, it doesn't exist, but probably I will put that penalty to in this type of crime because, for example, I don't know. For example, that's a question that I have. If they receive certain amount of years in imprisonment, they're always like a way to pay a fine and decrease that amount of years, or depending of their um,
Behavior?
behavior, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Probably if someone who was young probably was 30 years and decreased to 20 years at the end of that punishment. I think that at 40 years, if this person is damaged or something like that, probably um, could make the crime again. I think so. I don't know.
Could be, could be. Yeah, it also depends, as you correctly pointed out, on the circumstances. The circumstances is something that the judge needs to analyze case per case. So, being a judge requires quite a bit of understanding of the context, the situations. It can be an aggravation or the opposite, right? It can be a deterrent. It can be many different things that can enhance the penalty or diminish the penalty, as you say.
Yeah.
So, well, yeah, it all depends on the circumstances. What about theft? There are all kinds of theft, and what do you think about this? In what cases they could be extreme? In what cases they can be an aggravation? And in other cases, there may be a deduction or reduction of the penalty. What do you consider about theft?
Fines, restitution, probation, imprisonment. Uh, well, yeah, I think that at the end it depends always of the context. Mm, I think that, well, I'm not sure what is uh, probation in this case.
Probation, that you are considered or the person is considered some permission to be free, set free, but with certain conditions. He needs to go or she needs to go to sign to the prison every week, and
Mm,
you're under probation. You're like they are probing how you behave. So
mm,
they allow you to go free. They set you free. They set him free, but with the condition that he goes back to prison and signs every week, and that his behavior is exemplary. Sometimes,
Mm.
as they say, above community service,
Mm.
occasionally.
Well, I think that the punishments are accurate depending of the context or how it was the theft, but I think that it's okay.
Okay, now what's the difference between a theft, which is a very general term, with burglary, when the burglar breaks into the house or breaks into the bank or breaks into the premises that he's intending to rob? Burglary implies breaking into that place. So, what do you think of this crime, burglary?
Mm, well, I think that it's a crime that uh, obviously it is important to analyze because, for example, the last week, I don't know if you heard that news that here in Irapuato actually is the is the Santander, how to say, like, well,
ATM?
no, it wasn't the ATM. It
Was
was it
the
was
bank?
it was the bank here in Irapuato. I think that it's the Plaza Zeus. In that plaza is near from Solidaridad. I don't know that there's a Farmacia Guadalajara and there's a
I know the place. I actually was there recently, last week, no, like 2 weeks ago. I know where that is. Not far from this coffee shop, very famous. There used to be one of those. Yeah,
uh, I think that in the past was Italian coffee or something
there
like that.
was. Yeah, there used to be an Italian coffee there. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I know the place. What happened?
Well, actually, the last week it was a burglar there, but this was a planning burglar because um, normally there were hackers that overpass the security of the place, and then when everything was like hacked, the people go inside the bank and they rob 2 million pesos.
They
And
stole
actually,
2 million pesos.
they stole 2 million pesos. Yeah, like for example, I don't know if you have seen the what's the name of this series, La Casa del Papel, something like that.
Okay,
It was
similar
yeah,
to that.
mm-hmm.
Oh man,
2 million pesos.
they stole two. It's not a lot for a bank.
Nope.
It's actually it's kind of modest, but well, and oh man, well, I'm sorry for the bank owners or the yeah, but
Yeah.
geez, and it requires some planning and execution. To rob a bank is not something easy. It's much easier to break into a house or to just. I mean, I'm not suggesting anything, of course, but it's not the same time. It's not the same type of risk to break into a bank than to break into a house. The banks have security cameras, sometimes security guards. If you break into a bank and the police catches you, I think the penalty is going to be very severe because the government and the banks are, I don't want to use the same colluded, they are teaming up. They're
Yeah.
like a team. So it's almost like stealing at the government. Do you know
Yeah.
that the banks report to the government your deposits, your withdrawals, all the money management is reported to the government by the banks. Excuse me.
Bless
So
you.
thank you. Excuse me. So they are
Bless
like
you.
very strong allies, the banks and the government in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So stealing a bank is almost like an act of stealing the government, in my personal opinion, of course. So
Yeah, of
well,
course.
and that happened in Irapuato then.
The last week. So yeah, actually, that place now is out of service, and it looks that probably they are like removing the
The
um,
branch.
Yeah, everything. I don't know if he's gonna continue that that Bank of Santander there because it looks like they are removing everything there, and I don't know.
It looks pretty much unprotected and very much in the open. You
Mm-hmm.
know, there is the Solidaridad Street, and then it leads you immediately to Fragaria and out to Leon. So it looks very
Yeah.
unsafe, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sorry about that. What do you think about robbery? Robbery. Um, so what's your opinion about robbery?
Mm. In this case, for example, well, burglary is when you, well, when someone goes inside a place and do a robbery. For example, what will be the burglary? But what will be the difference between theft and robbery?
Well, something that happens with, for example, robbery. Robbery, you use violence and you take the property of someone.
In
Well,
robbery.
yeah, in a burglary, you don't necessarily interact with the victim. Actually, it's quite the opposite. You
Mm.
enter a house or somebody enters a house. I enter the house of somebody,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe it's empty, like a bank. Hopefully,
Mm.
it's empty, right? I
Mm-hmm.
expect that the place is empty. So I enter and I subtract belongings which are not mine. I can take money, I can take a piece of art, I can take something. When there is a robbery, it's quite the opposite. It's an interaction with the victim. Give me the money, or give me your belongings, give me the whatever, right? So I take the property of someone's normally by force or by threat. There is
Oh.
interaction with the victim, and there is immediate presence. There is presence there.
Mm, okay. Oh, I
So,
understand.
which one do you consider worse,
Mm,
a robbery or a burglary?
well, probably robbery because violence could be involved.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, there is a threat.
Hmm.
There can be a threat, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, to which one would you give more severe penalty?
Mm, well, probably I will put more penalties to robbery because are the same than burglary, and probably in robbery, as we talk, could violence be involved. So probably I will put more punishments to robbery.
Okay. And then we have fraud, and fraud can be something quite serious.
Yeah.
And there are many cases of fraud,
Hmm.
and from very, very abrupt and blatant, obvious, evident to very, very subtle, very hidden. So, what do you think of the crime of fraud, Mickey?
Well, it's a serious problem because I have seen different types of fraud recently, and
Oh, really?
yeah, I know that probably you have seen videos where I think that are not too common, but probably 1 or 2 months ago, where Lopez Obrador were talking about investing petrol in Mexican petrol and that you're gonna receive profit about well considering the amount that you invest, and everything of that was created by artificial intelligence. And I have seen people who really believe in that and put their money in that. So at the end, obviously,
Mm.
they lost all their money because yeah, it was just an ad, a fake ad generated by artificial intelligence. But yeah, I have seen so many, or like, how what's the name of this? Like Ponzi, pyramid Ponzi. You know that you uh, normally that the people who starts that business are the people who really gets profit, and all the people that goes after them, uh, they they are scammed because normally the people who start that. pyramid are the people who really get profit of the business or the service. I have seen so many examples of that, and I have met people who really invest in that and they lost their money.
Yeah,
So that
yeah,
are
that's
frauds.
yeah, that's true. There is an old adagio or an old saying among not politicians, among lawyers, which reads more or less like this: when there is a fraud, you
Hmm.
require two thieves, a smart one and a naive one.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good one. Yeah.
And the thing is that apparently a person gets deceived. I get deceived because of my greed. I am so greedy
Hmm.
that I want to take advantage of the other person. So a neighbor comes to me and tells me, "Hey, teacher, I want to sell you this necklace. The necklace is
Hmm.
made of gold. The
Hmm.
correct value is 10,000 pesos, but I am in need. So I'm going to give it to you for 500 pesos." Of course, if I was an honest person, I would tell him, well, look, if it is 10,000 pesos, how can I take it at 500, right? That would
Yeah.
be abusive on my side. Maybe I can lend you the money or maybe whatever, right? I'm an honest person. But if I want to take advantage of the person in need, who is needy, and I say, oh, yeah, well, it's worth 10,000 pesos and he gives it to me for 500. No, give it to me. Yes, of course, here's the 500. So I am greedy. I'm trying to take advantage of a person in need. In reality, he's deceiving me, right? He's cheating
Yeah.
because it's not real gold. But because I am greedy, I say, "Oh, I'm gonna take advantage. Yeah, give it to me. Here's the 500." And it turns out that it's not gold; it's something worthless.
Yeah, of course.
And
Yeah.
so,
Uh-huh.
yeah, yeah, Mickey, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly as the sentence that you put here. For a fraud, we need two thieves, a smart one and a naive one. Um, it is true. I could imagine that, for example, the smart one will be the person who starts, in this case, this uh, pyramid scam, and the naive one are the persons who are trying to convince or to deceive the others. And it's like different. It's like a chain, right? You need to
Yeah,
one person, other person, other person, other person, and the only person who really receives the money is the smart one. The smart one, in
in quotation marks, in quotation
in
marks.
quotation marks, right? But yeah, that is true.
All right. Now, which is the characteristic of embezzlement? What do you understand by embezzlement?
Embezzlement. It's not like a fraud too.
It's a
Well,
fraud in which you appropriate property or
mm,
funds or money, right? And there are many characteristics of embezzlement.
okay.
You appropriate property or funds that have been entrusted to the perpetrator. For example, I tell my friend, "Hey, can you take care of my house?" Yes. And then he establishes in my house and he doesn't let me in. Hey, I'm knocking the door. I want to enter my house. No, 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 it's not your house anymore. It's my house now. What? But I lent it to you.
Mm,
Or I can give my car to somebody. Hey, can you take my car to the mechanic, my friend? Yeah, of course. And he appropriates my car.
so it's when you give like the, how say it, like the permit to use that, and then they don't want to give it to you back.
Exactly, exactly.
Mm,
Yes,
okay.
yes, yes. The person has access to the property. The person has access to the property, which can be your car, can be your money, can be your house, and then he breaches the trust. He breaks the trust. There is a breach of trust, right? Breach of trust.
Mm-hmm.
You believe in the person, but he breaks that confidence.
Yeah.
So there is a breach of trust, which is, I don't want to say a common thing, but it's a serious thing. What do you think of this crime, Mickey? When a person takes advantage of the friend or colleague or partner?
Well, I think that there are things that we don't need. Well, yeah, we don't need to overpass, and one of them is the confidence that someone is giving to you. So at the end, the investment is a crime, and it must be punished. So yeah, I haven't seen like a case of this crime, but I imagine that there are so many. And for example, I don't know. Um, I remember one friend that had a space of land, but they don't put like how do you say, like walls
Fence?
or something to protect that place. And people near, well, people who lives in that street, normally they use that space to park their cars. And one time they, well, this my friend wanted to put walls or to protect that space of land, and the people uh, got got mad and angry because they say that now that was part of of the streets and it was free because it never, like someone, like in the past, nobody wanted to take care of that place, and how it is possible. So I don't know if in this case will be an investment too, because they are trying to use a piece of land that they don't belong, or that will be other
No, no,
crime.
no. It's exactly the great example. It's a great example, actually, and it's quite common in the legal world, legal in quotation marks, of course.
Hmm.
In the legal world, there are many. How can I say this? Yeah, many lawyers that are constantly checking the public registry for tracts of land or houses whose
Okay.
owner is absent or is not being very careful or yeah, exactly. So there is a tract of land or there is a house that is empty.
Hmm.
So you use that house, that is an appropriation. You appropriate, appropriation, appropriation of the house. In this appropriation, you start using the house, and the law in Mexico says that if you appropriate a property for 5 years and you say it's in good faith, well, the definition of good faith, in good faith, right? You are helping a friend, you are doing something positive for that friend. For some reason, that friend has a problem, he can die, he can do anything, and you were helping him out, or you were maybe paying the tax, the property tax, whatever. In good faith, there is what is called prescription, positive prescription, positive prescription. In other words, the person cannot claim the property. He cannot say, "Well, Mickey, give me the property back," because now is what is called positive prescription means that you initiate a legal action and you can become the owner of the tract of land if it is in good faith. You were doing something good for him, your intention was good, you were trying to help him, etc., etc. If it is in bad faith, it is 10 years. You occupy a place, there is no contest because the person went to the US, the neighbors were looking to park their cars, um, and they were seeing no response or no interest from the other person. They said, well, he has been absent for 10 years. He has not paid the taxes. He has not cleaned the land. He has not done anything. So they can claim right to the property
Mm.
to prescription, positive prescription. And it is legal, but there are exceptions to the prescription. There are exceptions. One of the cases is when this comes from an inheritance. Exceptions when the building or property comes from uh, an inheritance. when it is inherited, like for example, the case, my grandma died, there is a building that she gave to my father, to my uncle, and to another uncle who died.
Yeah.
And then my dad says, well, I want to appropriate this building because I am the only one who has been living here for 10 years. In Guanajuato, is actually, in bad faith, is 20 years in Guanajuato, but in the other states, it's 10 years. So he says, I want to claim that the building is mine. And then I say, well, wait, this is coming from an inheritance. So that's an exception. The other exception in Guanajuato is if there is a co property. Let's suppose that you and Luis become co owners of a house, any house, right?
Hmm.
And then hopefully not, hopefully this will never happen, right? It's just an example. Or me with my brother. My
Yeah.
brother and I have, there is a property and he wants to claim that the property is his because he has been living there for 10 years. And I say, well, yeah, but this is a co-property. So there is no prescription. And a
Mm.
third point is if there is direct line of bloodline, direct line of blood. That is, that if it's my father or my mother or my daughter or my brother, there is no prescription. So there is no way that you can take a property from a brother or from a father or a mother or a son or a daughter because there
Mm.
is direct line of blood. So these are the three exceptions in the state of Guanajuato. Because this is a state law for
Okay.
the claiming of a positive prescription to appropriate a piece of land, which is a long explanation for a.
Yeah. It is so interesting.
Yeah. Have you seen this? I mean, friends, maybe there are friends who are fighting for a piece of property, or brothers, or sisters, or this is quite common in families that there's an inheritance, and instead of distributing according to the desires of the dead person, they
Hmm.
start fighting. I have seen this a lot in my own family, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Well, I think that was the same with the uh, with my dad's family. I think that happened something similar. So
Oh,
yeah.
right. Yeah, this is quite common, quite common. I'm going through a process like that myself.
Yeah.
So I have had the need to study this quite significantly, quite in depth because
Hmm.
of all the implications, right?
Yeah, of
But
course.
well, yeah. Okay, there is the next one, money laundering. What do you think of this, Mickey? Money laundering.
Fines and imprisonment. Uh, well, of course, it's a crime and it must be uh, a punishment for it. I think that the penalties are accurate. I think so. At the end, well, it's supposed that we need to pay taxes, and money laundering is it's it's a serious crime. I don't know if it's too mm, punished here in Mexico because, well, I think that there are different ways to to do money laundering, and well, I think that depending of the amount of money that they are uh, using for that, but but yeah, I think that it must be punished. I think so.
How do you think, or how do you manage, how do you imagine people carry out this activity? How do they do this money laundering, Mickey, in your imagination? How do you think they do it?
Uh, well, I'm not too informed about it, but I think that um, for example, when they do what's the name of this? When they donate money, I think that that's a way that they can do it to avoid paying taxes, right? When
Yes.
they donate a good amount of money to a certain uh, campaign or certain, yeah, normally they do business. I think that they create business. For example, um, I have seen business that they are business with big buildings. That it looks that they're expensive, that they don't have people. So I imagine how it's possible that this business could could continue. But probably one of those business are used for money laundering too. I think so.
Exactly, exactly. The key word for money laundering is that people use illicit funds. And when
Hmm.
you talk about illicit funds, what can it be?
Mm, less funds. Well, I don't know if, for example, if someone it's supposed that donates money to other person or to an association, and probably that association not exist.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
I think that, for example, with art pieces, right? I think that people, I don't know how it was, but I think that when people purchase that type of pieces, normally they use for money not laundering or something like that.
Could be, could be. I mean, there may be lots of projects that come from dubious funds. You can say, well, the funds are dubious. I'm not certain about the legitimacy of this money. Where does the
Mhm.
money come from, actually? Well, you say, well, I don't know. But we have a benefactor called El Chapo.
Yeah, of course.
And people say there are many cases like that. What do you think about these benefactors? When they actually build a church, they build a school, they create charity organizations. They are bringing good to society, but the origin of the funds is dubious. You say, well, yeah, but the money comes from a dubious activity. What do you think about that, Mickey?
Mm, well, I think that it is difficult to answer, but at the end, I think that if that activity is bringing a benefit to someone, that probably that benefit this person or that group of person or people, sorry, they weren't receiving. Well, probably I would say that it's better to receive that support instead of not receiving it. But yeah, I'm not saying that it's that is something that I will do, or it's something that people who normally does that type of activities that um, well, I don't know.
But do
I
you
don't
agree
know.
that this activity does happen? Do you agree that this can be seen? Right? You say the church, oh, there is a new church or a new parish or the the a new orphanage. Oh,
Mhm.
wow, an orphanage. Yeah. It was built with the donation of a benefactor. Oh, wow, that's fantastic. And who was the benefactor? Well, it was not Carlitos Slim. It was, uh, I don't know. I have mixed feelings. I
Yeah,
have feelings in conflict. What do you think?
yeah, exactly. Because uh, if we accept that, well, in a way, we're accepting that the things or the activities that this person is doing are correct, and and I don't consider that it is important. Well, I don't consider that people must give like how to say like mm, gratefulness, or because I have seen. I remember one time that I was looking at a commentary, and it actually was of Chapo,
Yes.
and I think that he supported growers and people who lives in that area, and a lot of people loves him because he did that, and it's like, well, but you don't know all the things that he need to do to give you that support. So in a way, we, in this case, this person, this group of people were accepting that, and I don't consider too that it's correct. But
Absolutely, no, 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 absolutely, absolutely. This can become very interesting because it's not only the crime by itself, but the motivation, the implications, and all the consequences.
exactly, yeah.
So the knowledge of law is also part of society, and it's also interesting because of the relevance, right? The application of law is connected with one of the most important topics, which is justice,
Hmm.
right? So I find this topic quite interesting because of the implication. I mean, who has not suffered a? I recently got broken my window,
Yeah, of course.
and we see lots of cases like this in this period of time. There's the violence has surmounted so much in Irapuato, well, in Guanajuato, in the whole country actually.
Hmm.
Well, there is another crime which is called drug possession, but what recalls my attention in this case is what is drug? What is a drug? Right, beginning there. So, what is a drug, Mickey, for you?
Uh, well, to be honest, I don't know exactly like the the definition or the meaning exactly of word of drug. Sorry, but uh, it's something like, um, as you mentioned, like mixed feelings because there are drugs that are legal and others are that not. And for example, I don't know. I'm not too informed about this topic to be honest, but well, we know that tobacco in general it's legal, and there are still parts where weed or you know um, is not legal in some parts. Um and if we compare the damage between one and the other, I think that probably with all the chemicals that tobacco has, will be more damage to the health. If in this case is what really matters.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. There's actually a definition of drug, and there are drugs which are, for example, medicinal drugs.
Hmm.
Medicinal drugs. Let's read it and let's see how they differ from other drugs. Let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's read this, Mickey, please. Can we?
Hmm. Medicinal drugs. These are substances used to prevent, treat, or alleviate symptoms of medical conditions. They can include prescription medications, over the counter drugs, and various forms of therapies.
Yeah. So you can go to the pharmacy and they tell you, "Hey, this is an over-the-counter drug." Yeah, what can be paracetamol can be those drugs that doctors give you to sleep or to be
Hmm.
active, etc., etc. They are considered legal or illegal, and that also depends on the circumstances or the period of time. Some medicine that was allowed, like antibiotics, in the past, when I was your age, you could go to the pharmacy and give me this very common antibiotic, the most common of all. What's that?
Mm,
Penicillin. Give me penicillin, please. Why?
penicillin?
Because I have fever. Oh, okay, here. They gave you the drug. But now you cannot get antibiotic if you don't have a medical prescription. If there is not a
Yeah.
prescription from the doctor, you cannot get it,
Hmm.
right? But well, so the condition changes. There is a medicinal drug. Now there is something which I don't like the name very much. Actually, I hate the name. I hate the name, but that's how they define it now. And I hate the name because they make it good. They make it look like it's something, as they say, recreational.
Hmm.
It means that there is no consequence. And I hate the name, but that's what we call it. Let's read it, please.
Yes, sure. Recreational drugs. These are substances primarily used for their psychoactive effects to induce relaxation, euphoria, altered perceptions, or heightened sensory experiences. Examples include alcohol, cannabis, cocaine, MDMA, ecstasy, and hallucinogens like LSD.
Yeah, I hate the name recreational drugs because they make it look like, oh, it's a recreation. Well, that means that you contribute to the economy of the manufacturers and you get into the business. I get into the business to the damage of my health and for the economic benefit of someone else.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And we need to be very, very cautious and very, very reluctant to even get close to this. We need to understand it to be able to expel it from our lives, right? This can severely damage the health of the person and the economy of the person, both of them, of course, for the benefit of a third party. But the fact that they call them recreational is something
Yeah.
that I absolutely detest because it looks like they're trying to soften down the implication or the consequences. Hey, let's not call it forbidden or illegal. Let's call them recreational drugs. That means that there is no danger when actually it is a extreme danger there. What do you think, Mickey?
Yeah, well, in a way, they are like normalizing these
Normalization.
substances. So
Yeah.
yeah, uh, I'm not considering that it's good to normalize them. Uh, and well, here in this definition, it includes, for example, alcohol that is legal, and cannabis, and obviously cocaine that is drugs more, how to say, like more. Uh,
Addictive.
yeah, well, I think so that they are more addictive. Um, but yeah, I don't agree about with the name recreational because at the end they're like normalizing the use of these substances. For example, I remember in Mexico City that near from the El Ángel de la Independencia,
Yeah.
there's a zone that where people could not sell. It's supposed that not sell, but they can consume weed, and it's a big avenue. You imagine Mexico City, and a lot of people walks in that street, and I don't know if it's good to normalize this type of uh, activities, and I don't know if here in Mexico we have like the culture to determine if it is good or not to normalize, for example, the that people is smoking weed or taking other type of drugs in the streets. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we should even question things as common as coffee. They also create addiction. I'm not saying that that is bad, or maybe because I'm trying to justify myself because I drink a lot of coffee, right? But these are stimulants. Let's
Mhm.
read it, please. Can we make it, please?
Yeah.
Stimulants.
Stimulants. These drugs increase alertness, attention, and energy, while also elevating mood and decreasing appetite. Common stimulants include amphetamines, cocaine, nicotine, and caffeine.
Yeah, you say, well, caffeine is very common, so it's not bad. Well, wait a minute. It creates dependence. It increases the heart rate.
Hmm.
Nicotine is another uh, substance that affects your mood and gives you supposedly more energy
Hmm.
and changes the parameters, the appetite, for example. But it's really harmful for your health.
Hmm.
My mother had been smoking for 40, 60 years, and she had severe problems in the arteries because nicotine destroys a substance that naturally eliminates the fat from your arteries.
Hmm.
So when you smoke a lot, this nicotine deprives you from this substance that is a friend. The friend defends you from the fat that clogs the arteries. So without this friend, the arteries start accumulating fat and fat and fat, and they can clog the arteries. They obstruct the arteries, and you can
Hmm.
suffer a heart attack. That was my mother's case. So she had 5% flow of blood in the arteries because of the amount of nicotine that she had ingested, and consequently she was almost not able to have the circulation of the blood, and almost died. She had to go to the hospital. She needed to have some stents, which are implants in the arteries to expand them like a bridge, like in the Guanajuato bridges. You have
Hmm.
these structures that protect the tunnels.
Yeah.
Well, stent is exactly that. It's a device that is inserted in your artery, and then it amplifies the artery so that there can be enough blood flowing through the artery, and consequently you can breathe and have the natural work of the circulatory system.
Yeah.
That is what happened to my mom. That is a severe consequence of nicotine, right? What do you think of these substances, Mickey?
Yeah, well, I think that that's the issue, right? Because, for example, tobacco is legal. There are others drugs that are not legal, probably because they don't giving the government is not receiving a good amount of tax of that. But at the end, well, it makes me realize that probably the government don't pay too much attention about the health of people. It's more about the amount of money that they're receiving of those products because alcohol is the same. We know that the one of the most common ways of that are uh, how is it?
Connected, connected with the consumption of alcohol.
Yeah, exactly. So at the end, I think that it's not about the health of people; it's about the amount of taxes that government receives from those products. And well, at least I don't consider that here in Mexico we have the culture to normalize this type of drugs because, well, if with the typical drugs, all the accidents and diseases that occurs, imagine with this type of drugs that are more addictive, more um, how can I say it, like
Yeah,
probably
they're very addictive.
consequences,
Yes.
the
Excuse me?
consequences
The consequences, yes, yes, of course.
that you receive of those drugs are more how can I say it,
More
more
dramatic, more
dramatic. Yeah, exactly. So
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah.
Well, it's a very profound and consequential phenomena.
Hmm.
Having drug possession, then trafficking with drugs, or manufacturing the drugs, and it's interconnected with everything because there is so much amount of money involved. The law also suffers pressure, external pressure to modify the law. The legislators, they suffer even threats.
Yeah,
The gangsters, hey, this used to be a crime. Now call it recreational. Recreational? How can be something recreational if it affects your life, right?
exactly.
So
Yeah,
it's a complex topic which requires a deep and profound analysis. But meanwhile, we need to be alert, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why I consider that it's important that really people um, analyze at least possible all the products, and in this case, if someone is taking a drug, analyze what really is going inside their bodies. That it's important to understand that if not, if um, it how can I say, like, it doesn't matter if it's legal or not. About you need to understand the damage that it's doing it to your body, and not
Exactly,
because
exactly.
it's legal. It's it means that it's good for you. I think so.
Right, exactly. It has become a health issue. Has become a health issue, and when things start affecting your health, then it should be the priority, as you correctly pointed out. The priority must be your health and not the economy. And in
Yeah,
this case, this affects both your health and your economy. It affects both.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
But because there is a huge benefit to the private enterprise or to the manufacturer, so there is pressure to the governments, to the legislators, to the lawyers, to the judges, to everyone. There is pressure. And of course, the worst part of it is that there is violence involved because
Hmm.
now there is so much money that they send the armies, I mean, the drug cartels, to enforce the consumption and the collection of the money, right? And it becomes a violence. It almost becomes a war. So it's
Yeah.
really, really consequential, a very topical. It's very topical, this discussion, Mickey.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Maybe one day we should invite an expert on the topic and discuss with him or with her uh, in English, of course, about what his or her viewpoint of this is, and see what you think and see what I think.
Yeah. That will be great, teacher. Yeah. Of
All
course.
right. Okay, Mickey. Well, next last probably next Thursday, because Friday I think I'm gonna go to Aguascalientes, but Thursday, what do you think?
Yes,
Could
sure.
we do that? Yes.
Yeah. Thursday. Normally, I'm not too busy at at 9 or at 8. So yes,
Okay.
sure. Thursday is okay.
Okay. Well, let's try to have it at 8 if possible. Well, I know that you wake up early and that you're very disciplined. I try to wake up myself a bit earlier. So let's try to do it between 8 or 8:30. The latest, like the worst case, let's say that I had a terrible night or you had a terrible night, we do it at 9. But preferably we do it at like at 8 or 8:30, Mickey. Could that be okay?
Yes, sure. No problem. Perfect. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Enjoy, take care, say hello to the family, and see you Thursday then.
Yes, sure. Thank you very much for your time. Take care and have an excellent week, teacher. Thank
You
you very much.
too. See you,
Thank
Mickey.